Hello everyone, my name is Joseph McCaffrey. I'm really happy to be with you here this time of year and to offer you this solstice opportunity to sink deeper into your true nature, to sink deeper into the land, and to really connect and heal and take advantage of this powerful, powerful time of year. I'm just so deeply in love with this work of eco-psychology and ecotherapy and nature-based soul work. I have been practicing as an ecotherapist for the last 5 years, and before that it was really my own personal journey into working with contemporary day vision fast work and really this work in many ways saved my life. It brought me into a deep part of myself and an opportunity to connect with the world around me in ways that were unimaginable at the time. Had an opportunity for some really deep healing and deep transformation. And I love to get to share this with you. I'm blessed to be able to share with you the work that deeply inspires me and that I love. And just a little bit about myself. I hold a master's in counseling from Prescott College with a focus in eco-psychology. I also hold a master's in educational psychology that I received from the University of Colorado, Denver. I was a middle school teacher for many years, and it was really in that place that I started to work with rites of passage work and having the opportunity to work with many young people who were considered at that time youth at risk out on the land, and to see such deep changes within them as they spend time connecting with themselves and connecting with the natural world. And then in my own process of also at the same time with wandering and sitting and in the natural world and having deep transformational experiences within me. So I'm happy to be here with you. I'm happy to share a little bit about what I'm up to and offer you this time. What we'll be doing is I'll be starting off with a story, an old story as a way to frame our time together. And then I'm going to shift into something like a guided meditation to awaken our senses and our body and to continue to sink deeper into this space. And then from there, send you out onto the land for a wander, to give you an opportunity to really experiment with a practice. So things you might want would be a journal. I want to give you some time to journal as well. And if you want to prep for the time on the land, which is really nice because the guided imagery would work really great if you could take your phone or your device outside and then do the guided imagery and then from there go wandering. So you might want to take this time now, pause the video and go get prepared, get ready, get in some comfortable hiking clothes, get some hiking shoes on, some layers, depending on where, if you're in North America and what part of North America or South America you're in, it depends what you'll need for that. And then of course your journal and something to write with, which we'll use throughout this time today. So feel free to pause now and then we'll come back together. Okay, so we are in a powerful time of the year. We have been spiraling inward since the time of summer solstice, and now we're moving into this shift in winter solstice where we're actually spiraling outward, back into spring, into the light. And it is such a powerful time now to continue to deepen into the darkness. And there has been a lot going on this year. It has been it has been a challenging year filled of a lot of emotion, grief, frustration, anger, and some great opportunity and great creativity. And so we really want to resource ourselves so we can really glean and grok the bigger story that's going on right now, the bigger transformation that's happening on the planet. One of the ways I like to frame this year is like the metamorphosis of a caterpillar into a butterfly. And we have been living a certain way on this planet for a long, long time. Probably the last 10 to 12,000 years. Now that 10 to 12,000 years came out of about 1,000,000 years before, where all of our ancestors lived in the harmony and the rhythms with nature, literally our psyches and our bodies, and we evolved in this deep connection and rhythm with nature. And then, with the advent of agriculture and most recently the Industrial Revolution, we began to psychologically estrange ourselves from nature. Literally, the definition in the dictionary of nature separates us from the natural world. We define nature as other than human, which we know so deeply is not true. And so we are now in this process of healing ourselves and coming back to the land. This is the bigger story that's going on. And this past year has been a part of that process. Now, many of you know very well that change happens during a crisis, and we are in a crisis of transformation. Just as the caterpillar goes in the cocoon and dissolves into what scientists call the imaginal cells, we too are in that process right now. We are dissolving into imaginal cells so that we can dream into becoming this caterpillar, both individually and collectively on the planet. So we're in a crisis of transformation, which means a lot of things are falling apart. A lot of the things that we know externally that we could trust, we can no longer trust. And that's really creating an internal crisis that is providing us with a lot of challenges, but a great opportunity for transformation. So let's ground this bigger story into an old story. So let's kind of continue here to arrive together, take some breaths now, and we're going to start to move into our imaginations and then slowly into our body and our senses, and then we're going to head out onto the land. So take a breath into your belly. Feel yourself arriving into this space that you're in. Notice what's present within your body. Notice the way that your body wants to breathe right now. Notice the way your body is breathing right now. Let yourself deepen your breath, filling your lungs and your belly, and we'll go further into this after the story. But right now, let's arrive together even more fully into this space. And as I share this old story, you might begin to just notice places within the story that you feel drawn, or maybe places within the story that repel you. Stories are great in this way as we can find ourselves psychologically and emotionally of where we're at within a story, and it can really open the doorway, a portal to a bigger story within ourselves and the world. Help us move into that place of transformation that I've been talking about. So this is an old story that, from what I understand, has been told through many of the First Nation people throughout the Southwest. And as stories do, they are living beings, and they will come alive in certain ways. So as I tell this story that you may have heard before, it may be told differently today. It may be asked to be told differently in this moment, in this time on the planet. So let's see what comes. So it's said that a long, long time ago, many, many years ago, when time flowed like a river, when time wasn't constrained into these round circles on our wrists, or we're trapped in iPads and computers. Time flowed more like the wind in the rivers. There was a village. And in this village were many people. And these people were experiencing many things that we are today. There too, their culture seemed to not be able to support their own journeys, and things around them were falling apart. And there were many artisans and visionaries coming with visions and seeking questions to, who am I? Where am I called in the world, and where is the world calling me into? And just outside this village was a cave, and in this cave was an old wise woman. And she had been in this cave for some time, maybe lifetimes, maybe eternity. We don't know. And she was weaving this tapestry, the most beautiful tapestry that the world has ever seen. And she had such a deep devotion to this weaving that each day she awoke and she would take a porcupine curl and bite down on it, and then weave this porcupine quill, and then begin to weave her tapestry. And she had been doing this so much, her devotion and discipline to this beautiful tapestry that had been being woven for so long, that her teeth were grind down to little nubs from the devotion of each day of biting down on that porcupine quill and weaving this tapestry. And it's said too that in the back of this cave was a big cauldron that held all the seeds of the world, and her job was also to tend these seeds. So each day she would wander into the back of the cave, and she would make sure the fire below the cauldron was not too warm and not too cool, so not to harm the seeds. And she would stir the cauldron, she would tend this cauldron every day, so that all the potential of the world would have this opportunity to come into existence at some time. And she would tend, and then she would go back and she would weave, and then she would come back and tend, and she would tend and weave and weave and tend. Now, this went on for a long time. However, as these stories go, there was an old black dog that would circle around the cave, waiting for the right time to sneak in. And it would just so happen that this one day that the old wise woman went to the back of the cave to tend all the seeds of the world, when the old black dog snuck into the cave and saw that tapestry. And that black dog began to tear apart that tapestry, one thread and then another, until this tapestry was no more than a pile of unwoven threads on the floor. And the black dog left just as the old wise woman came back from tending the seeds to find her devotion to this tapestry in a ball of thread at her feet. Now at first she was filled with anger, then sadness, and then overwhelming grief. You can still hear these grief cries vibrate through the forest if you listen deeply. And she sat in this place of uncertainty, of unknowing, of grief and pain for a long time, and even praise, as she would go back and tend her cauldron, unsure of what to do, until one day, as the grief began to lift and the sadness began to float by, she had a vision of another tapestry, of a more beautiful tapestry than the world has ever seen. And she tended the cauldron, left, and came back to the front of the cave, where she began once again to pick up that porcupine quill, bite down on it, thread it, and begin to weave this new tapestry, one thread at a time. And it is said that this old wise woman still rests in this cave of knowledge just outside of the village, weaving and tending and weaving. And that old black dog circles the cave, waiting to tear it apart all over again. So you might just take a moment and let those images of that story move through you, move through your body, move through your psyche, move through your imagination. You might notice where you find yourself in that story, or where you're drawn. And then if it resonates with you, you might pause this video and take some time and journal about that. Where do you find yourself in this story? What are the places that stick out to you? Were there anything that surprised you when you heard this story that relates to yourself and your own story? And spend some time with it, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so. And then we can join together again here. Okay, welcome back. So, here in a moment, we're going to move into a guided imagery, and then I'm going to send you out on the land, and you might take this story with you in the way that you heard it. And I want to offer just a little bit more about this story in the way that I see it, in the way that I feel that it is in relationship to the times that we're living in. And maybe a way to reframe this virus that rose up. This virus rose up, the way I understand it, from the most biodiverse stress place on the planet, where our soil health has been deeply harmed by the chemicals that we've been poured into it. And we know this. We know actually that viruses rise up from places that are extremely stressed, where the biodiversity is extremely stressed. And it is as if the earth has sent us something like the black dog in the story. A very, very important character, actually. A very important archetypal character. Many of us, we want to get rid of that black dog personally in our own lives and in the collective story. However, that black dog has played a deeply important role. Without the tearing apart of the tapestry in that story, there wouldn't have been another vision. And for us, without this year of challenge and heartache, we wouldn't have the opportunity to envision a different way on the planet, both within our own lives and in the collective. So that's not to romance anything, that's just to honor that every being on the planet, whether it be a tree or a plant, a bacteria or a virus, plays a specific role, as do you. You have your own unique and particular niche in which you can live in this world. And this time of year provides such an opportunity to go into the darkness, as the seeds of the earth too are laying dormant below the soil. Things are composting. The dry leaves and the dead grasses are composting below the soil. And too, within you, there's opportunities and visions and ideas that are composting and waiting to be born in the spring. So one of the places you may imagine yourself is what are you tending right now? What are the seeds that you're tending in your life? And it's true, too, that we all are weaving our own tapestry, and we may have been weaving multiple tapestries in our lives that seem to fall apart. And each time that tapestry falls apart, we have an opportunity to embrace that experience and reflect upon how we have grown and learned about ourselves, our relation to ourselves and the world and others. And so that's happening collectively, and that's happening individually right now. And we're at a time on the planet where we get to actually weave our thread into a new tapestry. Our unique thread can be woven into a unique global tapestry within a huge cosmic story, as well as our own tapestries that we're living in our lives. And I know many of you have probably experienced that deconstruction of your tapestry this year and the immense pain and grief that comes with that. And so we want to also honor that and provide opportunity to give space to process and allow those emotions to move through us. And then potentially open us up to a new vision of how we want to live as we shift from this time of year where we're spiraling deeply inward, and then that solstice shift coming out into the spring. What is the vision that can come from this time in the darkness in our own cave of knowledge? These are questions and ideas we may work with today as we wander out onto the land. So again, you may reflect upon that right now with your journal, or you may just let those images and questions and ideas sit within you for a while. Maybe it's something you have already known or already come to within you in your own ideas about yourself and the world. Or maybe it sparks a new paradigm shift within you, or somewhere on that spectrum. But now we're going to shift from the words and the being up here and come down into our bodies. And I want to offer you a practice now that will help us to work with this story and work with this time of year and be in relationship with the land. And the practice that we're going to do after the imagery process is wandering. And it's probably something you already know really well. And really it's a process of moving out onto the land and following your intuition, following your body and your senses as they draw you across the land. And you might begin this as a practice by crossing some sort of threshold, like between two trees or over a fallen tree. And in that process, you step from this ordinary world into the unordinary world. And you follow where you're drawn. And that may be moving, that may be sitting and lying underneath a tree, or finding a place that feels safe and nurturing and writing. Or it may be more movement, maybe connecting to the wildness within inside yourself and moving across the landscape in that way. And that may be where you go with this practice, where you might sink deeper into finding a place on the land where it feels like that cave of knowledge. It feels like the land too is tending and weaving a bigger story. And if you are found by such a place, you may sink into that place. You may connect to it through your body, feeling what it's like to be in such a place. You may embrace it through your imagination and also imagine yourself tending and weaving your own seeds, your own tapestry in this place. And in doing so, you might just notice what's happening within you and around you. So that's the practice of wandering, which I'll briefly go over again. You can either pause and rewind and write down the steps now, or But I want to give it to you first before we go into this process of getting into our bodies and getting into our senses, and then really helping to shift our consciousness and sending you out from there. Okay, so as we shift now into this guided imagery practice, which will probably last about 10 minutes or so, just know that there's no right or wrong way to do this. Let yourself move your body or stay still or whatever you need to do, but find a place that feels comfortable. And if you want to pause now and take this out onto the land, do so. And as we sink in, it's really about starting to find a place where you feel comfortable for the next 10 minutes or so, sitting or lying or standing. And start to connect with your breath. If it helps to close your eyes to go inward, do so. And really begin to notice the way that your breath is moving in and out of your body. Our breath is such an amazing tool and opportunity to come into the present moment. Let your breath begin to breathe in the way that feels most natural. Notice the way that your body is breathing right now. And then as you're breathing, you might remind yourself that you are breathing in the exhale of the trees and the plants around you, filling your body and the cells of your body with this life-giving energy. And as you exhale, your breath moves back out into the space around you as a gift, as it is received by the plants and the trees and the grasses around you. And you find yourself with your breath in this dance of reciprocity. Breathing in the exhale of the world around you, offering your breath in return. And breathing into this cycle of reciprocity, you may take some breaths through your nose. And just noticing as you inhale deeply how the breath of the world smells today at this time of year, how the air around you fills your nose and your lungs and your belly with the smells of the place that you're in. And as you breathe with this place, as you are filled with this smells of the air, is as if you and your body is meeting this place through the sense of smell. Maybe taking some breaths through your mouth. Filling again your lungs and your belly and noticing the taste of the air this time of year in the place that you find yourself. And then allowing your breath to move in and out of your body in the most natural way. Open yourself up to all the different sounds that you can hear around you. noticing what it feels like in your body to listen deeply. To all of the beings, all of the sounds of nature that are around you right now. And then as you stay with the sense of smell and taste and hearing, notice the sense of touch. Notice the way the air meets your skin with its temperature, the breeze. Maybe you can feel the shadows or the sunlight on your skin. In this way, you arrive even more fully within yourself and in the wild world around you. And as you tune into these four senses, you may notice somewhere in your body that feels drawn out onto the land in some specific direction, some specific way that you're called right now out onto the land. You can feel this somewhere deep within your body. And here in a moment, I'm going to invite you to open your eyes slowly, taking a look around slowly as the light begins to gently come in. So you slowly open your eyes and the colors and the shades of brown and green that begin to fill your sense of sight. And then as you feel yourself drawn out onto the land into this wander, you may find yourself here in a moment moving out, following your intuition, crossing a threshold. And as you cross that threshold, you may give gratitude and announce yourself to the land. Introduce yourself. Maybe you do it as, I am the one who. And then as you cross that threshold, following your intuition across the landscape, following your curiosity, following that sense deep within you that draws you further out onto the land, allowing your body to move in the most natural of ways. You may ask to be found or find a place that feels like that cave of knowledge that's deep within you, that's out here on this land, where the world too is tending and weaving and tending. The wisdom of the land, the wisdom within you. And if you are found or find such a place, let yourself sink in to this time of year, to this place where we're in this deep change of season, where we're drawn deeper into the darkness, deeper into this cave of knowledge, to release and experience the grief and sadness from this year, as well as open up to the opportunity and the vision and your unique and particular thread that's woven into this tapestry, this vision of what is to come, and the seeds that you are tending right now in your life. Sink into that place here out onto the land. And without trying to get any answers, just notice what happens within you and around you in this space. And as you find yourself coming to completion, please give gratitude for the beings on the land, for this place, and your own body. And as you wander back from this place back to your home, and you cross over that threshold, give gratitude once again for your time on the land. And then spend some time with your journal, or spend some time quietly reflecting and contemplating on what happened on that wander. And my hope is I'll get to hear some of these stories throughout this week in these offerings, as we'll create a platform for you to share and offer your experiences from this week. Thank you so much for this time, and I wish you the best on your wander, and I wish you the best in tending and weaving this new world that we're stepping into. Many blessings.